Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I just wanted to go over a few points which I think are really important on how to improve your writing skills at work, especially if you're in the kind of job where you're speaking with colleagues regularly or multiple stakeholders on large projects. Seriously though, sorry if this isn't really going to be relevant to your current situation. Apologies about that. Okay, so that intro is deliberately long-winded, but it's an example of how I used to write at work, and it included important tips we'll cover in today's video, which you can use in your written communication anywhere really, but they'll be in the context of your 9-to-5 job in today's video. We'll also discuss some further tips from the book Effective Business Writing in Easy Steps by Tony Rossiter, which got me started on my journey to improving my writing. Then we'll apply all that we've learned to improving a typical message you'll come across at work. Then, to see if it can do me one better, I'm going to run this through ChatGPT to test how it decides to improve the poorly written message even further. Speaking of AI, although we're implementing ChatGPT more and more into our workflows every day, sharpening your writing skills is still really important because it's unlikely you're going to be able to turn to AI when you're putting quick emails together, taking rushed meeting notes, or speaking with lots of stakeholders about a project at work. Now, I'm really speaking to myself when I say that because I still fall into terrible habits in my writing, which we'll cover in today's video. So with all that said, let's get into the video. So recently I read an article online about improving how you phrase certain things in work emails with the goal of sounding more like a boss. The examples provided in the article created a better impression of the writer than the original phrasing, which is how I sound in my writing at work. A bit submissive, like, "What time works for you?" rather than just being more on the front foot and suggesting a time like, "Can you do 10:30 instead?" I imagine myself on the other end of my emails or Slack responses at work, and what impression I would have of myself via my writing. In some examples, I apologise all over the place, even in circumstances where an apology isn't necessary. I would respond with something like, "Sorry, I didn't find time yesterday. I'll make sure I get it done and sent over this afternoon. Apologies." That's apologising twice. Or I would take ages to get to the point I'm trying to make and not be upfront with a deadline I'm working to. For example, "I was just wondering if you would have any time this week to read over my email to a client. Don't worry if not, let me know if you might have time next week as I'm due to send it next Wednesday." All easy habits to slip into, and which lead us into the first point I want to cover: active versus passive voice. This change was simple and effective when I started implementing it. It's how you structure your sentences and where the subject and action are placed within it. Basically, shifting to active sentences means you're getting to the point immediately. A simplified example for passive sentences would be, "The software issue was resolved by the IT department." The IT department are the subject, resolving the software issue, the action. Shifting this to an active voice, we'd structure the sentence with the subject coming first. The IT department resolved the software issue. The IT department are the subject, performing the action of resolving the software issue. It seems we're naturally more responsive to know who the subject is before what the action they did was. Keeping things in passive voice when you're dealing with large emails at work can risk sounding less direct and can obscure who is responsible for the actions. And when you spend all day referencing projects, actions and colleagues at work, it makes things so much clearer to make this change. This is why I wanted to include this tip, as this simple shift goes a long way to automatically solving issues around your writing not being clear and therefore uneasy to understand. I naturally keep slipping into passive voice in the way I write, but if I pay attention, I'm usually able to suddenly spot what's going on and flip things around. So when taking notes at meetings at work, instead of, "During the meeting we discussed streamlining how we select our campaigns in Google Ads," which Mike brought up as a priority, we instead might have something like, "Mike brought up streamlining our Google ad campaign selection process, which we need to prioritize." So as you can see, it's a simple shift, but it makes all the difference. What we're going to look at next is a chapter titled "What is Plain English?" from the book mentioned earlier, Effective Business Writing in Easy Steps. The chapter is broken down into smaller subsections covering the tips in the chapter. I realised that when revisiting the book that this chapter also actually covers the previous point we looked at, active, not passive words. But we're going to cover a point made in the section titled Short Everyday Words called Getting Rid of Long-Winded Phrases. I'm also still guilty of doing this every day. There's a tendency for people to overcompensate when writing, especially if it's a formal letter at work to senior members of your team. The book provides the following examples which I've heard way too many times at work, like, "Due to the fact," which could just be because, or at this present time, which could just be now, or in the near future, which could just be soon. Even when I return to writing this script after a day at work, I noticed I regularly start all my messages with, I just wanted to get in touch regarding. Now, there's nothing really wrong with saying that, but thinking about it, it's not really necessary. People appreciate someone saving them the time and getting straight to the point. So it's good to get into the habit of finding where a long-winded phrase could be replaced with less and less words, or even just a single word. So let's look at a main example to improve with all that we've learned so far. I would literally write something like this if I was on autopilot at work, which is the following. Hi John, I just wanted to get in touch in regards to our meeting this week. Unfortunately, due to staff illness, we'll have to subsequently cancel and postpone the meeting until next week if that's okay. Let me know a time that works for you. Way too long-winded. Using the tips we've covered in today's video, that could simply be written as the following. Hi John, this week's meeting has been postponed due to staff illness. Would next Monday afternoon work for you? Now, obviously you may not be in a position to have another meeting time to offer straight away, but this second version cuts away the excess phrases from the first example and gets straight to the point. And we've moved the sentence to active voice by placing the subject, the meeting, first, and the action, postponing it, second. Now let's see what ChatGPT makes of the initial long-winded phrase. Now you have to be accurate in structuring your prompt to ChatGPT in order to get the most appropriate response. So I didn't just type, please make this message sound better. I instead gave some context to the request, the tone I would like the answer to be in, and the objective of needing to make the message more concise. And as we can see, the answer is almost exactly like mine. It's removed all of the unnecessary phrasing and put the subject of the meeting earlier in the sentence, making it more active. This is confirmed when I asked Chat to detail the steps it took, like removing redundant phrases and using simplified language. And just because it's ChatGPT, I asked it to improve the message even further, and it suggested things like taking out the greeting and even using bullet points. So we've literally just got due to staff illness, and it's just taken out the greeting, and then the bullet points, and then just thank you. That's obviously a bit too far, but I was just interested to see how much further it could take things. But it's good to know that with the right understanding of what's required, it pretty much follows the same guidelines we've covered today before it gave us a response. So that's all for today's video. I really hope you found it useful. I wanted to cover some easy to digest points, which hopefully you'll realistically be able to start implementing straight away at work. There's obviously so much more to writing effective and engaging work, but I wanted to cover some great stuff I've recently learned that's really helped me. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this content and if there's any other key writing tips which have really helped you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon for another video.